Hello, welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing. And today I've got a little bit of time back in the car room and I'm going to try and get a couple of cars ready for racing. So it's Easter weekend. There is a race meet on Easter Sunday, which I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be running my Tamiya truck. I've been having some issues with that of late, so I'm going to try and fix that so I can get that back on track and performing as I'd like it to. But next weekend we are running in the Iconic Cup. I am going to be running the M05 and I've got a few little things just to finish that car off. So I'm going to go through sort of my race setup with the M05. If you've been keeping an eye on the channel, you have been following my Tamiya truck journey, you will know that the last few weeks my car fell off a cliff in terms of performance, had zero grip whatsoever. And on inspection, I think that might have a lot to do with these front tyres, because the wear pattern shows that they've worn unevenly, which tells me that the way the car's set up is it's not evenly distributing grip into these front wheels. And so it is time for some new tyres. So I'm going to change those over. Now I'm going to check out these inserts and see if they're any good. So when you order a Tamiya truck, you will get these wheels. And if you have a look on the inside, you can see actually the hexes aren't that deep on these wheels, and because of the silver plastic, I find it's quite a brittle plastic. So what I tend to do is upgrade to these wheels, which are the M chassis 11-spoke racing wheels. You can see the number there, SP1394 for reference, but these are the ones that I run on my trucks, and they're a lot more durable. And also on the flip side, if we have a look at the hexes, you can see they're a lot deeper, so therefore we don't get any breakage on the back. All right, so the new tires are now on the truck, and what I've done is I've super glued the sidewalls. This does two things. One, it firms up the sidewall, but two, it can help you with traction roll. So when the car starts to flip out, it touches the super glue on the side and then slides back down. So yeah, I use actually a couple of super glues. So I have got in here, I'll show you, this is just cheap super glue. I have actually got some proper tire glue, but the one I use for the sidewalls is slightly thicker, and you can see in the bottom of that jar it is a little bit thicker, a little bit slower moving, and that means you're able to place it on the sidewall without it running all over the tyre. So yeah, I've been applying that with a toothpick. So that is a little trick, and I've also applied it to my M05. So these are I've actually reapplied it to these because I used these tyres last year. I have got some new ones on order, but they haven't arrived as yet. So why I've got my M05 out, let's talk about car setup for an M05. Firstly, I know this looks ugly with the tape. However, the forecast for next week is potentially it's going to be a rainy one. So I'm in the process of waterproofing this car. So I've got a couple of little bits that I need to fit in order to waterproof the car. But let's talk about race setup. Okay, so if you build this to kit spec, there's a few things that you need to be mindful of if you intend to race it. Now, the first thing you need to do is ensure that you've got the right motor for the job. So currently in this car, I have got a torque tuned motor. Now, the race series I'm running in, the option is torque tune motor, or you can have one of these, which is the Core 21 silver can, which is like so. The motor I took out of this car was the 15, so the Core 15, because that were the rules for the competition that I was running in last time I run this car. But first things first, make sure you've got the right electrics for the job. Now then, in terms of building up the car, what you want to do is, when it comes to the front diff, you want to pack that diff out so it's nice and thick. What I tend to use is this stuff here, and this is AW grease, and by using that, what it does is it sort of packs out the diff quite nicely without locking it. So again, the rules for the race class that I'm running in, you can't have them locked out. It needs to be still moving. It still needs to have a diff action, and AW grease is a really good way of going about it. Not the cheapest, but very effective. So that's the front diff sorted. And then after that, the only changes really that you need to worry about are your shock setup and your springs. And you can get carbon fiber shock towers like I've got on the back here. So if I spin it round, you can see that I have got carbon fiber shock tower on the rear, and what that's done is allowed me to stand up the rear shocks ever so slightly. I did have one on the front, but unfortunately I crashed and smashed it, so I've resorted back to just the stock using the chassis to mount the front shocks, which actually for my driving style wasn't too dissimilar to the setup I had with the carbon fiber shock tower. So let's talk about shock setup. What I tend to do with the Tamiya minis, now it's worth noting this is the M05, which is front wheel drive, pull you round the turns. Now the reason we have this diff thick is if you're turning and leaning up and this wheel's touching the floor and this one's unweighted, with a really loose diff, this wheel will stop spinning and you'll just spin up your inside wheel, and therefore you won't get that pull around the turn until the car sort of settles itself again. Because you want that drive around the front, you need to keep the drive and both wheels planted best you can. So what you want to do is you want to minimize the droop in the front. So because the glue hasn't quite dried on this car, I'm going to just demonstrate with the M07. So if we look at the car, we've got the front wheels at this end. If you are going into a turn, what's going to happen as the car slows, the weight is going to shift into the front and the front's going to sink. Okay, as the front sinks, what that does is often it'll lift the rear. I'm exaggerating it ever so slightly there. So what happens if we can have a firmer front, it stops it squatting at the front and therefore it reduces the pickup at the back. So we have the firm springs at the front, and then at the rear what you want is a softer spring so that it can sort of take all the little bumps and the wheels try to stay in contact with the ground as much as possible. What you can do is you can have maximum droop at the back, so it allows the wheels to sort of sit down, whereas at the front what you want is minimal droop, and that's kind of what you want to set up shock wise. Again, because I'm going firm in the front, I'll be looking at about 500 weight in the front shocks, and you can go down as light as sort of 300 in the rear, and then it comes down to tires. Now because of my driving style, the way I choose to drive my cars, I tend to stick with soft tires all round. Again, I use soft at the front and then I counteract the super grip that you get with a little bit of super glue on the sidewall to stop it traction rolling and flipping over. But at the moment this has got 24s all round on it. Again, 24s all round. This is a good setup, I find, for colder time of the year, and when it's wet you can actually get away with running these tires. So back to the truck. Obviously this is, you can tell by the foam that I run, Shorty packs in this truck. Has been set up as a touring car, so therefore I've had the top deck chopped down. What I'm going to do is, because I'm not happy with the performance of it, I'm going to put the top deck back in, and I'm hoping after a few runs these tyres will come to life. So it's off to Milton Keynes for a little bit of club racing. They have currently got their truck mini sprint series on at the moment, so it's a great opportunity to get my truck out and test it out on a fantastic track. However, I thought it'd be a good idea to take the mini out in free practice. Unfortunately, I was hit from behind, um, and it's broken the back end of the car. So although I thought my Mini was all ready for the Iconic Cup, it is now in pieces and work needs to be done to get it back on track. So Over to the truck. How did that perform? Well, it didn't qualify well. I started out in fifth place. But what I love about trucks is it doesn't matter where you are guaranteed a race. So from there, fifth, I'm up to fourth now, and I'm all over the back of third place. Still really struggling with the steering on this car, although I'm up into third now. Um, the car, the truck, sorry, was running quite well, but this section here, I was really struggling to get it to turn in. And also, if I go on full throttle coming down the big sweeping right hander onto the straight, I was struggling there as well. So I was having to take some real risks to get this car to turn in, and yeah, it was a bit of a handful, but I had an amazing race all the same. As you can see there, I'm just not as quick through some of these tighter turns as I'd like to be, which is forcing me to make little mistakes like that. Really sluggish on this left-hander, and actually a little bit slow on the straight as well because I've just been overtaken again, which puts me back to where I started in fifth place. But do you know what the best thing about this is? It was a race all the way to the line. So if we fast forward to the last minute of the race, I'm still in fifth place, overtaking back markers there. But you can see fourth, just up ahead of me. I've said it many times on the channel. I would much rather be in a close race like this than be winning races by miles, and I definitely was in the hunt and on in a really good race. So I'm hunting down the truck in front of me. This is fourth position. I am putting everything in. He's made a mistake, but door gets shut, and I end up on my side, which I think was the end of the race. Really, this is actually the last lap, and I cannot get the job done. But I tried, and I had a really good go, and there we go. Work to be done on the truck.